Something entirely different is now happening. Look at this. This is what was supposed to happen. A well-dressed man steps forward. He appears staring smugly in your direction. His clothes are smart and clearly expensive, but lack the typical padding worn by guards and thugs. A quick look at his associates reveals the same style. Mages. Disgusting. Oh, look at this fucking loser. On behalf of Woozing Inc., we have been instructed to prevent your further vandalizing of the company's property and assets. However, they never specified how, so I vote we do this the easy way. The mage motions to you with a flick of his wrists. Leave no survivors. Oh, that's the easy way, huh? Fair enough. We're in a bit of an awkward position. Are they really all mages? That's very upsetting. Right after going through the fucking thing with the goddamn, spirits. There we go. That's the word. Fucking used my fetish in the previous fight. Now I can't summon King Kong for this scuffle. Oh my god. It's alright. Duncan's gonna carry us like he always does. Also, our robot friend is gonna carry us like he will now do, always. Alright, Koshel. I would like you to fuck him up. Do the aim shot. Wonderful. Fantastic. So, Isabel, if you could, like... Yeah! Now, if you could do that again... Oh! That one mage is feeling really targeted right now. Well, to be fair, I guess there's gonna be no survivors. They just failed to specify which side would have no survivors. Alright, my boy, it's up to you now. Get that one. Get that one, though. Thank you. And then... would be better to fire the beanbag. 2 AP damage is probably this dude's entire turn. Yeah! Crowd control. So only 2 mages can do their thing. This one missed because she's terrible. This one's asleep on the job. Alright, I got hit for a fucking lot of damage. I'm barely alive. Okay. Now... am I on fire? Like, am I going to die if I do not see to this fire situation? No. Okay. Because I saw the arrows and I was like, is this a dot? Is this some manner of dot effect? No. Alright, get him. Get him. Still alive. Couldn't you finish it? Alright, Isabel. Oh, of course, you would probably have to reload it, wouldn't you? That's fair. Feels good. That one took no damage. That's okay. I can finish this one. I can finish this one. There we go. And my boy! Now, is it better to use the rifle? No. I would like you. Get him. Get him. Okay, she did not attack me. Wonderful. She attacked him. That's okay. He's like full health right now. No problem. Duncan, finish him off. We got places to be. Fantastic. Vandalization complete. Security detail thoroughly murdered. For some reason we can't shake them down. I'm sure at least one of them had to have a fetish on them, but no. As you reach the elevator's control panel, you can feel the electric sensation of the key dancing across your skin. This feeling is notable to those not even magically attuned. The disruption here is that strong. Behind you, the trapped and turbulent key swirls inside the iconic Sky Tower atrium. You can actually see the area around the atrium warp and ebb as the key surges and breaks against the obstacles around it, looking for a way to move, to flow, and finding none. The job is done. You have desecrated the Woozing Lotus, and in doing so, blemished the prideful face of a megacorp. Not bad for a night's work. He turns his back on the temple. I think we did a job up to the client's standards, huh? The elevator arrives at the temple. Time to duck out the back door before security can respond further. Job well done. why not just be like, you fucking died, bitch, do it again? Why leave me trapped in this eternal hell of not spawning the fucking security guards? Wuxing won't know what hit him. The embarrassment of their own geometric science turned against them will sit unfavorably on the tongues of the Wuxing executives, maybe even get a few people terminated. In what way, though, is the question. They'll know it wasn't just the building you battered. You sent a message. Everyone has a weakness that can be exploited. The change in feng shui, should keep them spinning for months. The complete disruption of their key and destruction of their temple will cripple the energy at this branch of the company. And with Wu Jing focusing on restoring their temple, it will be a long time before they discover the full extent of your assault. Even though, like, the subtle vandalization that we did is in no way actually that subtle. Like, we straight up fucked up the generators at one point. But whatever. You know, went and cracked the fucking window in the executive's office. He definitely won't notice. No, sir. Anyway, who cares, right? We thoroughly debased the whole place. Come on. I clicked continue. No, really, we're done loading now. Oh, please continue. Oh, no. Continue loading. I see. Fair enough. Whatever. Or have you crashed? I'll be very upset. Okay, thank you. 8 karma! Oh my god! We've got, oh my god, I got 11 karma in the bank right now. Dude, let me spend this karma, please. Thank you. So, first off, right? We, what did we have? Alright, fire barrier, increases spell slot, spell book slot. That is a lot of fucking karma to do that, though. Maybe I'd rather learn how to cast spells. Like other spells. I'm not gonna do any of the cyberware stuff, because if you have less essence, like, it fucks with your ability to be a mage, so we don't want to do that. Yeah, we wanted to unlock the new etiquette, that's right. And then we'll save the rest. Not gonna let me pick my new etiquette, though? Like, oh, I just picked it for me. Okay, wow, fucking rude. Alright. Right, yeah, I don't know what I'm looking for right now. Okay, get out of here. So, claim payment from your runs at the mission computer. I would like to do so, because I would also like to go and buy items. For example, I've learned that trauma kits are very important. I've also would like some fetishes, because I summoned my rock gorilla, fighting the spirits, and then it was like, oh, psych though, fight again. I was like, oh, fine. Sure, no problem. Yeah. New messages. Attending a party. Coyote, I need you to come to the parlor. A friend and business partner of mine named Dr. Xianyang has need of your services. Something about attending a fancy party at Repulse Bay. He was unwilling to give me the details. I think he wanted to size you up himself. Duncan asked me to do some digging on my own into Raymond's history. I guess he doesn't trust Kindly Cheng to give him the full story. I can't say I blame him, since she'd hide things from us if it was in her best interest to do so. So I've been poking around various corners of the Matrix trying to dig up what I can. Most sinners leave a data trail of at least the size of an aircraft carrier in their wake. Working backward in time, Raymond starts out that way, but it slowly tapers away into nothingness. Sure, I can find some basic records in Seattle, Powers, Utility, a couple of public discussion sites he signed up for, but the further back I get, the less I find. And the craziest part of this is, prior to 2032, I can't find anything at all, and that shouldn't be possible. It's like Raymond didn't exist before then. I don't know, I'm gonna keep digging, but take me a while. I'll let you know when I have some news worth sharing. I don't know, I think the fact he didn't exist is sort of worth it. So, do I have something I can, like, sell? Claim payment. Nice. Post-pay data. Yeah, logistical data. That's gotta be worth money. I do not want to do that. Jobs directory. Claim payment. Nice. A little bird whispered in my ear that Wu Zheng's fortunes are already failing. Their stock value dropped by 2% already. That's a fucking lot, actually, considering it's been, like, what, 3 hours, probably, at most? Their stock value dropped by 2% already. The client finds this to be an acceptable indication of your success and has forwarded payment. I've attached your cut of this to the email. Alright, so... we got things to do. But... so I have the money now, correct? It's just, it didn't, show me, like, how much money I got. Oh, yeah, fucking rolling in it. What's this over here? This is like my bedroom, right? What's going on here? Can I go to sleep and have a weird dream again? Chase the memories. You wake with a start, your limbs bound up in a sweaty tangle of linen bedsheets. An incredible sorrow swells in your chest. You feel empty, half-starved, and alone. Fragmentary memories of a half-remembered dream flit through your mind. Let's chase the memories. Gradually, the memory comes back to you. The walled city. You were back in the walled city. You don't remember how you got there, but it couldn't have been any place else. Even the barons weren't so squalid. You remember craning your neck to look above you. The buildings that made up this part of the walled city were new construction, even cheaper than the old. Now their foundations had rotted out from under them, and the buildings leaned into one another like a gang of drunken men. A rain of plaster and asbestos, lovely, sprinkled down, dusting your shoulders. You begin to creep forward, picking your way past the piles of refuse and debris, past the pimps and the dumpster fires and the broken glass and the dirty needles. The air reeked of rot and sewage and industrial waste, a disgusting melange that caught in your sinuses and crawled down your throat. You gagged on the stink, but it didn't slow you down. In the back of your mind, you knew that you had no reason to be doing this. There was nothing for you in the walled city. You shouldn't have been there. But the rest of you was hungry, unbearably, indescribably hungry, and that part of you knew that if you keep moving, you'd finally get to eat. As you forced your way deeper into the walled city, locals stood at their windows and stared. Inexplicably, some of them dropped to their knees. You kept moving. You could see something in the distance, a silhouette, something enormous, at least twice the size of a troll, but delicate. It was beautiful. The huge figure beckoned you, gesturing with a slender limb. An explosion of warmth filled your chest, and you knew that if only you could reach it, your problems would be over. She, would make all of your sorrows disappear. You moved forward at a crawl, but the figure felt impossibly far away. You reached out, calling to her, and then you woke up. The empty feeling in your stomach slowly fades, taking the strength and vibrance of the memories along with it. Alright. Good story. So, let's go have a chat with my dude downstairs. I don't know if there's, like, some kind of, like, character plot thing to have going on. The whir of actuators accompanies the fine motions of the manipulator arms that hang from the ceiling. They are turning an object over and over in their articulated hands, soldering wires and hammering rivets. Ah, my friend, welcome back. Ractor types a series of commands into his bracer, and the arms reflex into an idle posture. He smiles at you, cigarette dangling from his lips. There, that's better. Now what can I do for you? How are you getting along with the other members of the team? Perfectly well, thank you. They all seem competent enough, and there haven't been any major personality conflicts so far. He rubs his chin thoughtfully. So long as they continue performing to an acceptable standard, I can see no reason not to continue our arrangement. It's good to be with a team again. Sure, alright, but what do you think of them personally? They're fine, I suppose. All fine. Gobbet is quite charming. Isabel keeps to herself, and Duncan is doing his best in a bad situation. And that, I'm afraid, is all that I have to say. Apologies if you were looking for more. You're still something of a mystery to the group, Ractor. Mind if I ask you a few questions? No, I don't mind at all. He takes a drag on his cigarette, then slowly releases the smoke. I can't promise that my answers will satisfy your curiosity, of course, but you may certainly ask. What was it like growing up in the Russian Republic? Tumultuous, as you might expect. You probably aren't old enough to remember the Euro Wars, but I am. I'd like to hear about them. My country was the instigator of the first Euro War back in '30. I remember the rhetoric, the hardships of living under a wartime economy, the rampant xenophobia that took hold. I remember how we all cheered when our forces invaded Poland. 3 months, that was all that it took for our military to crush what meager resistance the Poles could bring to bear. It was quite the source of national pride at home. I remember our drive into Germany and the desperate bid to reclaim the eastern portion of that country for ourselves. Just think about the symbolic significance of such an act, an audacious move, to be sure. But Secretary Kunin was determined to make history. Yeah, in the same way that Stalin was. I believe that Koropin was more concerned with the opinions of his own people than he was with his place in the history books. And in truth, I cannot fault him for this. For the 4 months that the war lasted, he did bring the country together. But alas, the Night Wraith incident put an end to our march and sent our forces into full retreat. Night Wraith. British-made fighter bombers with stealth capabilities. Very state-of-the-art. Very powerful. At least that's what they were purported to have been. Nobody has ever come forward to accept responsibility for the attack. Regardless of who was behind it, the result was the same. Wave upon wave of bombings that targeted our forces and the Germans alike. Coupled with the assassinations of dozens of military leaders, a devastating synchronized operation expertly carried out over the course of a single night. At home, viral attacks shut down our power grids. Hundreds of thousands of Russian homes found themselves without heat or electricity in the dead of winter. Koschei scuttles forward, allowing the rigger to rest his hand on the slopping metal of his chassis. Rachter stares at his own deformed reflection in the metal of the drone's body, a sad smile on his face. I remember huddling under a mountain of cheap blankets that my mother had piled up on my bed. They did little to protect me from the cold, but they were something that I could hang on to. Something tangible that I associated with warmth and comfort and home. There, as my body trembled and I watched my breath frost over, a horrible truth descended upon me. We had caused this. We were the villains of the First Euro War. For the first time I came face to face with Corpulent's folly that had brought us, and there, under that ridiculous heap of rags, I came to realize what would surely come to pass. The world thought us villains, and so they would treat us like villains. We would be the pariahs on the international stage, crippled by retributive sanctions. We would never live down the shame. He wipes his hands as if cleaning them. A wry smile spreads across his face. And then the AFA invaded Greece and Spain, sparking off Euro War II. We redeployed our troops to help repel them, and all was made right again. I have to imagine you still had enemies in Poland and Germany, even after the start of the Second War. Oh, we were still regarded with suspicion, of course, but all of Europe might have fallen if it hadn't been for our help. In essence, we took back our reputation at gunpoint. Not an ideal situation, I admit, but it worked. Within the span of 4 months, we Russians had gone from nobodies to a terrible threat, to unlikely saviors in the eyes of the Western world. Studying exactly how this happened has taught me a great deal about human psychology and social dynamics. Human psychology? You say that as if you weren't one. Not really, but, well, no. Ha! Just a figure of speech, my friend. Nothing more. Now, shall we talk about something else? Surely there are more interesting and relevant things to discuss. You mentioned that the Second Euro War was sparked off by the AFA. Who were they? He takes a drag on his... Man, Rachter is going to be like the whole source of the story at this rate. We've spoken to him more than anybody else. Ah, yes, I suppose that you wouldn't know. They were only active for the years surrounding the conflict, after all. The AFA was the Alliance for Allah, serving under Mullah Saeed Jazir, a coalition of right-wing Middle Eastern governments that assembled after the failure, some say sabotage, of the United Islamic Conference. They looked to a weakened Europe and saw an opportunity, one that my country was entirely responsible for creating. So they launched a surprise attack. Yes, but in hindsight we should have foreseen it. Ultimately, the AFA did what any hawkish power would have done in their position. I cannot fault them for taking advantage of Europe's weakened state. Given their circumstances, they would have been foolish not to. So what happened? How did the war end? The AFA folded in 37 after Jazir's assassination. A lucky thing for us, too. The body count would have been a great deal higher. In the years that they were active, the AFA gave us a hell of a fight. Did you immigrate directly from Russia to Hong Kong? No. Between my years in Nizhny Novgorod and my time here in Heoi, I spent a year in the free city of Berlin. That was where I got my feet wet as a Shadowrunner, you see. I ran with a team of anarchists for a time and learned the ropes of the occupation under their tutelage. Anarchists, huh? Must have been interesting. Actually, what can you tell me about that team of yours? Yeah, a good group of people. Disorganized, to be sure, but capable. Sadly, we are no longer on the best of terms. What happened? An opportunity arose, and I seized it. In doing so, I left Berlin for Hong Kong, and I did so without much advance notice. My absence made life difficult for them, and they blamed me for their hardships. You did what you had to. Yes, that's right. While my departure may have caused complications for my former teammates, it wasn't personal. I haven't lost any sleep over my decision. In my position, any of them would have done the same. He looks away, a wistful expression on his face. Koschei scrapes the ground with its forelegs, its sensors fixed firmly on you. Ultimately, I would say that my time in Berlin was quite educational. Different from my earlier life in Russia, to be sure. As I said, the experience was invaluable. Ultimately, though, hey-oi is probably better suited to my sensibilities. How so? Life in Hong Kong is more structured than it is in Berlin. Things make sense here in a way the Flux state didn't. He taps a finger on his temple. I have an orderly mind, everything in its place, neatly labeled and filed away. This approach is what allows me to make sense of the world. To say that the people I knew in Berlin thought differently would be an understatement. Why did you move from Russia to Berlin? He holds his tongue for a moment, considering. When we first met, I told you that I parted ways with Grishka Ivka under unfortunate circumstances, yes? You mentioned that. These same circumstances led me to Berlin. I was wronged, and I would not find recourse in Russia. I suppose that there's no sense in being vague. I'll tell you the story if you want to hear it. Please lay it on me. This whole episode might as well just be about talking to Rector, after all. You may remember the self-repair system I mentioned the first time we met, the module that would allow Koschei, or any sufficiently equipped drone, to repair itself. I told you that my research had been lost. That was not strictly true. It was stolen by a pair of colleagues who I had long considered friends. They were researchers from my old lab. They turned against me, stole our work, in truth, my work, and defected. Why would they do that? Desperation and ambition. They had always been fixated on getting out of Russia. Grishin Ivacor was a nationalized corporation, and they would never get rich as cogs in a government-controlled machine. In our project, they saw their key to breaking away, and... What are you doing over there? You good? I guess I went back to sleep. In our project, they saw their key to breaking away and earning their fortunes. Never mind the fact that I was opposed to the idea. Do you have any leads as to where they might have gone? Yes, the two had long spoken about moving to Berlin. Such was true of a great many academics in Russia. My homeland is a bureaucratic dictatorship, you see. There is little personal freedom, and there are many rules to be followed. As you might imagine, the stable anarchy of the Flux state can be a luring concept to those who live under totalitarian rule. Berlin is much romanticized back home. Makes sense. If you've spent your life tied up in bureaucracy, you could do no worse than moving to a place with no rules. Oh, the Flux state has rules, my friend. They aren't codified, but they most certainly exist. Should you ever travel there, you'll want to remember that. But I digress. In the hunt for my traitorous colleagues, Berlin was my only lead. So, I decided that I would travel there. At best, I would find them, and at worst, it would be a good place to rebuild my life. There is a squeal of tortured metal as Koschei drags its claw over the iron grating that covers the floor. Raptor glances down at the drone, and it goes calm. He takes a deep breath, and continues. It took me over a year to locate my former friends. It was a long, painstaking search, but I was nothing if not determined. I finally found evidence that they used my research as a bargaining chip to secure positions at Ares, and they were here in Hong Kong. Now, Ares, I know. Fittingly enough, they're the military corporation. And so you came here to, hey-oi! I picked up and left the next day. My old team was upset to be sure. Lucky Strike in particular howled for my blood, but I know where my priorities lie. And so here I am, and here they are, and soon I will be ready to act. I really must thank you for inviting me into the team. Your abilities will be invaluable when the time finally comes to make my move. Assuming, of course, that you'd be willing to help. Of course, when you're ready, just say the word. Thank you, my friend. But this is a discussion for another day. We aren't ready to hit an Ares facility yet, and there is more intelligence to gather before we make our move anyway. When the time comes, I will let you know. The stolen research means more to you than money, doesn't it? Yes, much more. It was my life's work, and it was important. Reducing it to a bargaining chip was a deadly insult both to me and to all those who would benefit from my work. It's just a self-repair system for a drone. How important can it be? Allow me to answer your question with a question. Are you familiar with the concept of transhumanism? The transformation of humanity as a species by technological means? Sure, if I'm not mistaken, we're already living in a transhumanist present. Yes, that's right. Transhumanism is no longer a philosophy. It is a fact. Look around you. Cybernetics are an important aspect of everyday life. Further, I would argue that the synthesis of man and machine is the crowning achievement of meta-humanity as a people. I'll go with you on that. In such a future, the capacity for unlimited self-repair would be indistinguishable from immortality. You can see then why the theft of my research came as such a blow. My former colleagues hadn't just stolen from me. They had taken my contribution to the future of our species and reduced it to a bargaining chip. Yeah, I get it. I'd be upset too. I was more than upset, my friend. I was livid. I still am. But all will be made right in the fullness of time. I am nothing if not a patient man. I can wait. He rises, brushes himself off, and with that, I'm afraid that I'm going to have to bid you good night. I've taken enough of a break for one evening. There is still work to be done, and it would be lax of me to put it aside any longer. Say no more. I'll see myself out. Good night. I like Ractor. I like him. He's definitely my favorite character so far. Granted, we've spent probably like an hour talking to Ractor, and then probably like 10 minutes in total talking to anybody else. So, I mean, there's that. Alright, so now that I've done that, let's go shopping. Because, I need some fetishes. Don't ask.